At a function in Hollywood this week, Johnny Depp went unrecognized. For 20 years, the actor portrayed Jack Sparrow had a drastically changed appearance. He had nearly lost half his body weight, going from 230 to 130 pounds. Plus, it has nothing to do with healthy eating or regular exercise. Rumors abound among Hollywood insiders on the true events that transpired during those months that were absent. Witnesses testify that it was the event that ultimately saved his life. Some are concerned that it's ruining him. The rumors couldn't be farther from the truth when it comes to his makeover. Johnny Depp came into this world in Owensboro, Kentucky on June 9, 1963. His siblings have 4 children between them. Johnny Depp's dad was a civil engineer named John Christopher Depp. Betty Sue Palmer, who was his mother, worked as a waitress before staying at home to raise him. The family was constantly on the move. Johnny rarely felt at home because they were constantly on the go. For Johnny, growing up was a struggle. His mom may be rather irritable at times. Without provocation, she would fling objects at him and his siblings. It became second nature for Johnny to duck and cover whenever she entered a room. Despite her occasional kindness, most days were filled with tension. Even though he was timid and kind, Johnny's dad couldn't shield his kids from Betty Sue's wrath. Moving about all the time made things even more stressful. Sometime after he was 15, Johnny said that his family had relocated 40 times. He was 7 years old when his family relocated to Miramar, Florida. For almost a year, Johnny and his family lived in a motel, and he felt more alone than before. His refuge became music. When Johnny was 12 years old, his mom gave him a guitar, and he would spend hours upon hours strumming away on it, finding solace in music as a means to transcend his problems. I started smoking, drinking, and doing drugs when Johnny was 12 years old. I also had a terrible time at school. Because he was different and unusual, the other kids teased him. Even at home, things were always tense. In an effort to calm down, Johnny started self-injuring and abusing his mother's nerve medications. His drug usage progressed. It was a means for him to dull the agony and isolation that accompanied him wherever he went. His parents finalized the divorce when Johnny was 15 years old. The schism broke him. While his mother was depressed, he had to make weekly trips to his father's office to collect child support payments. I felt ashamed. His mother and siblings were also left to his care. School was no longer an option for him. He dropped out of Miramar High School at the age of 16 to pursue music full-time. The principal told him to follow his dream instead of returning after 2 weeks. Johnny didn't need anything else to hear that. He became a member of the band The Kids. They frequently slept in a friend's 1967 Chevy Impala due to their nearly non-existent funds. They were in demand and performed at every possible event, even opening for notable acts like Iggy Pop, the B-52s, and Talking Heads. No matter how thrilling the shows were, they remained perpetually broke. For financial support, Johnny and the band even modeled for local newspapers. Leaving Florida for Los Angeles, Johnny and the band set sail in December 1983. In an effort to get a record deal, they changed their name to Six Gun Method. There, things were dicey already. In cramped flats, the band members lived. To pay the bills, Johnny had to take a job selling ballpoint pens and sleep on the floor. Because of how competitive the music industry was, they were never signed to a record label. Johnny wed makeup artist and band bassist Lori and Allison the same year. Allison was Johnny's sister. Through it all, Lori was there to provide him a helping hand. They were strapped for cash, but her contacts would alter the course of his life irrevocably. Nicolas Cage, who Depp met via Lori, was already a Hollywood star thanks to roles in hits like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Valley Girl. The friendship between Cage and Depp flourished. They used to play Monopoly and talk about movies while hanging out in Cage's flat. "Why don't you give acting a go?" Cage once said to Depp. It didn't faze Depp. "I am not capable of acting," he declared. Cage, however, persisted in pressuring him. "Perhaps you are one and are unaware of it," Cage responded. Everything changed because of that one simple idea. Agent Eileen Feldman, whom Cage introduced to Depp, sent him on his audition debut. Performing was never Depp's intention. "I never aspired to be an actor," Depp stated during a trial that took place decades later. "I used to play music. I was expecting a weekly salary of $1,284. That amount of money is completely new to me." He ended up getting down with Wes Craven to read for a part 2 of Laurie's relationship with Cage and Cage's faith in him. That scene was straight out of Elm Street Nightmare for Glenn Lance. Only to show his support for a buddy who auditioned for the part did Depp attend the casting call. It was Depp's acting debut. Initially, Craven showed little interest. In his opinion, Depp didn't appear like a movie star. However, Craven's adolescent daughter informed her dad that Depp was the perfect choice for Glenn after seeing a headshot of him. Depp was cast by Craven, who took a risk. More than Depp had ever made before, the part paid $1,284 per week. He had his film debut with it. Despite its meager $1.8 million budget, the film became a horror classic and grossed over $57 million globally. The iconic death scene in which Johnny Depp's character, Glenn, is pulled into his bed and then bursts into a blood geyser became a cultural phenomenon. Not only was it a challenging sequence to film, but it was also one of the most horrifying murders in horror film history. The crew constructed a revolving set to give the impression of blood shooting towards the ceiling in order to film it. The set was filled with 500 liters of synthetic blood. Upon impact with the illumination, sparks erupted. Everything in the room went haywire. Dangerous, chaotic, and unforgettable, that was it. There was an instant impact on Depp's career from that one scene. Hollywood took notice when audiences adored it. Things were more convoluted in his private life. Laurie and Allison and Depp were married in December 1983, although they had already filed for a divorce by 1985. Laurie continued to back him even after they broke up, which was just 2 years later. She arranged for his first audition and presented him to Nicolas Cage. Depp has never denied that she was instrumental in launching his career. Depp still wasn't certain acting was his calling, even after Elm Street. In his dreams of being a famous musician, he continued to play guitar. He appeared in Private Resort and Platoon in supporting roles to cover his rent. Yet, on December 21, 1987, he was cast in the role of Tom Hansen. Suddenly, he became a teen idol while appearing on Jump Street. Although he went from relative obscurity to overnight fame thanks to this role, getting there wasn't easy. The producers were not happy with Jeff Yeager's performance after filming the pilot. Someone with the ability to immerse viewers in the character's journey was essential. Even Depp wasn't sure he wanted to be a TV actor, so he wasn't their first pick. He first flat out refused to read the script. He was terrified of being bound to a TV contract for the foreseeable future. But they managed to persuade him to perform the pilot anyhow. When the cameras started rolling, he was an instant hit. Adolescent viewers were deeply affected by the show's premise, which revolved around undercover police officers entering high schools. The first major hit for Fox, 21, Jump Street, and the ubiquitous Depp were both achieved almost simultaneously. Millions of people tuned in each week. Covers of magazines featured him. Fans' letters poured in like a river. It was an incredibly rapid and disorienting form of celebrity. Depp, though, was utterly worn out behind the scenes. It was a demanding timetable. Exhaustion set in after 15 hours of work. The general population mistook him for the solemn, brooding police officer Hansen. Yet Depp felt alienated from his own identity. I started to feel stifled in this role. Depp was very miserable by the time he had recorded 102 episodes over the course of 4 seasons. Expectations were constantly high, and the focus was relentless. The producers enlisted his help in creating PSAs encouraging youth to complete their education. Since Depp had also left school, he despised the hypocrisy involved. One of the subtle ways he rebelled was by not taking part. The show's true message was disappointing Depp more and more. He thought it was strange that police would go undercover in schools, it seemed like propaganda to him. A lot of the screenplays also dealt with heavy topics like racism and brutality in simplistic ways, which Depp could not support. He started rejecting down $45,000 per episode and refused to do them if they went against his convictions. At the moment, since he felt he couldn't participate due to his conscience, Depp began to defy authority on set as his annoyance level rose. To spice things up and avoid monotony, he would make up lines or propose ludicrous scenarios. Even away from the camera, his private life took a hit. After breaking up with actress Sherilyn Fenn, he felt even more confined. He became more vocal towards the conclusion of his deal. He had already stated his intention to retire from television in an interview with the Los Angeles Times. Never, he declared. Just give me the pump. Money is tight in the city of angels. I am a puppet, Depp said. He had lost interest in portraying that role, despite the fact that the show had catapulted him to fame. He hoped Fox would dismiss him because he was so desperate to quit that he destroyed his trailer. However, he was indispensable to them. At the conclusion of the fourth season, Depp was finally let go, but only after Tim Burton offered him the starring role in Edward Scissorhands. Quitting was a daring move on his part. He remained the show's most endearing feature, and the ratings continued to soar. It was a bold move to walk away from that level of accomplishment, but Depp believed it was his only option to save himself. It was a wise decision. Working with renowned filmmakers like Tim Burton was second nature to him. John Waters, proving to viewers that he was more than just a celebrity crush for teens. Meanwhile, he was absent for 5 seasons of 21 Jump Street, but that was short-lived. A precipitous decline occurred in ratings. Proving what everyone already suspected, the series was quickly cancelled. It was missing Johnny Depp's charisma and charm. Edward Scissorhands was more than a movie when it was released on December 14, 1990. It was the beginning of a legendary cooperation in Hollywood. At the height of his career, Tim Burton had just directed Batman in 1989. However, the new film was unique. It was heartfelt, unusual, and intimate. Famous for his role in the 21 Jump Street TV series, Johnny Depp struck up an immediate connection with Burton. Later in life, Burton would compare Depp to himself, saying that both actors had experienced growing up as outsiders. It was becoming old for Depp to play a young idol. It was his dream role to play Edward Scissorhands. Edward, who had scissors for hands, was timid in kind. The role was offered to Depp after he beat out Michael Jackson, Tom Hanks, and Tom Cruise. Depp praised the script, calling it lovely. The persona was stunning. I was Edward, and the story meant a lot to him on a personal level. As a dark fairy tale, Edward Scissorhands was penned by Burton. His upbringing in suburban Burbank served as an inspiration for the story. Danny Elfman composed the eerie score, while Caroline Thompson penned the screenplay. The film's earnings were over 4 times the $20 million it cost to produce. It was nominated for Saturn and Oscars and won a BAFTA for Best Production Design. People started to take Depp seriously as an actor after he received his first Golden Globe nomination. Perceptions shifted due to the job. Depp was still frightened. While filming, he was anxious, as if his dismissal may come at any second. Depp took it as a sign that he was failing in his role since Burton would practice with everyone else except him. Edward hardly spoke as his every action was hindered by the massive scissor hands. So, Depp had to convey the story through his body and face. Depp was a bundle of uncertainty. In retrospect, he admitted that he had doubts about his own qualities. The fact that Edward Scissorhands was more than just a lovely face was proven, though. His soft, subdued performance revealed an unprecedented depth. Hollywood was alerted. Some have characterized his work as forceful and understated. Viewers adored the peculiar romance, the character's tragic attractiveness, and the suburbia sarcasm. It was only the beginning. Ed Wood, a 1994 black and white homage to a horrible director who liked making movies, was the second collaboration between Tim Burton. Martin Landau's performance as Bela Lugosi was one of the film's Oscar winners, and Johnny Depp's performance as Wood was both hilarious and heartfelt. Many consider Ed Wood to be one of Burton's finest. By 1999, they had reunited to work on Sleepy Hollow with Burton. It was a terrifying retelling of the classic Ichabod Crane tale and was released on November 19, 1999. In the role, Depp portrayed Crane, a cautious yet astute investigator. The film's eerie settings earned it an Oscar and $207 million. Applause poured in for Depp's portrayal of both comedy and terror, demonstrating, once again, his penchant for daring. Nobody was prepared for Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl when it debuted in theaters in July 2003. Disney was daring to do something new. Everyone assumed that pirate fiction had died out. Most people thought this pirate film would bomb like the previous big one, 1995's Cutthroat Island. However, the subsequent events caught everyone unawares. The Curse of the Black Pearl broke all records at the box office in July with its $46.6 million opening weekend, which was set by Disney. It was the 4th highest grossing film of 2003, earning $654 million worldwide. Captain Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp, became an instant sensation. A new Jack Sparrow emerged. Both heroic and vicious pirates had been on television before him. As a drunk, charismatic, and frequently hilarious character, Sparrow may be hard to predict. Those in charge at Disney were concerned about Depp's unconventional selections. They were afraid his eccentric speaking patterns and demeanor would detract from the film. But he was adored by the crowds. Even critics gushed over him. Even better, Depp received a Best Actor Oscar nomination. For an outdoor adventure picture, that was unprecedented. For Halloween, some turned up costumed as Jack Sparrow. They paraphrased his humorous remarks. More movies were made by Disney. Over $4.5 billion was made by all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean films combined. From being a well-respected character actor, Depp rose to become one of the world's most renowned and highest-paid performers. He had already been named the highest-paid actor in the world by 2012 according to Guinness World Records. Everything had been altered for him by Jack Sparrow. It was Depp's peculiar motivation that gave the role its uniqueness. For Sparrow's rock star persona, he looked to Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards. Pirates, in Depp's view, were as untamed and defiant as rock stars. As for Richards, Depp managed to cast him as Jack Sparrow's dad in the subsequent films. After that, he tacked on yet another unexpected factor. He took a cue from Pepe Le Pew, the cartoon skunk who mistook himself for a Fantastic Women man. Sparrow, as a result, talks and walks as if he were the center of attention, even when he isn't. A unique character was born from this combination of bravado and naive self-assurance. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, Jack Sparrow never wavered in his conviction. According to an interview Depp gave, Sparrow had the ability to dodge raindrops and survive each time via sheer chance. The audience adored this daring approach. Things were fresh and thrilling. The part went on to become one of the cinema's most recognizable icons. And the cash continued to pour in. Although it only made $654 million worldwide, the first film cost $140 million to produce. The second, 2006's Dead Man's Chest, was the highest-grossing picture of the year with over $1.07 billion in earnings on a budget of $225 million. Even the series' lowest-grossing installment, 2017's Dead Men Tell No Tales, managed to earn $794 million globally. The sum of all 5 films came to about $1.27 billion. Yet, they made $4.5 billion at the box office. It's enormous by any measure. Depp's income also continued to rise. He earned $10 million from the first picture. He was earning $90 million every picture by the 6th. He made approximately $265 million from all 5 films. It was even Depp who joked about how much he was paid. Among Disney's many other lucrative ventures were its toy, video game, and theme park ride lines. Tim Burton was another collaborator with whom Depp was collaborating on these films. Their creative cooperation had already flourished. Their 2005 film Charlie and the Chocolate Factory grossed $474 million globally. Many people liked Depp's portrayal of the enigmatic and bizarre Willy Wonka. Afterwards, in 2010, Alice in Wonderland arrived. Over $1 billion was made by that one globally. At the same time, Depp was in fantastical realms and at sea. Moreover, his popularity continued to grow. He also received accolades for his work in more dramatic roles. In 2004, for his portrayal of the sensitive writer J.M. Barrie in the book Finding Neverland. His 2008 performance as the sinister and vindictive barber in Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber of Fleet Street garnered him yet another Oscar nomination. Was one of the few actors who could effortlessly switch between dramatic roles and box office hits. By the time this era came to a close, Depp had accomplished an unusual feat in Hollywood. He was making critically acclaimed and commercially successful films. He had 3 Best Actor Oscar nominations between 2008 and 2010, for Jack Sparrow, Barry, and Sweeney Todd. Someone who was so popular during awards season and had such a successful run at the box office was unexpected. Their romance was complicated from the start, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. They first crossed paths in 2009 while filming The Rum Diary, and by late 2011 they were dating. John Wick. While Heard was 22 years younger, having been born on June 9, 1963. They acted swiftly despite being in separate universes. After becoming engaged in January 2014, they tied the knot on February 3, 2015, in a modest civil ceremony held at Depp's house in Los Angeles. They held their celebration on Depp's private Bahamian island a few days down the road. Gourmet meals, beach parties, and snorkeling were enjoyed by guests. It appeared to be flawless from the outside. However, tensions were building behind the scenes. The mother of Depp's 2 children, Vanessa Paradis, and Depp's long-term partner recently broke their relationship. A star was on the rise in Heard. Some felt they were jumping into a long-term commitment too soon. The public quickly learned of that strain. Heard requested a divorce on May 23, 2016, after just 15 months of marriage. Due to insurmountable conflicts, a media frenzy ensued. Heard sought spousal support in the amount of $50,000 per month. In January 2017, the divorce was finalized after the court denied it. After agreeing to accept Depp's $7 million, she said she would give it all to charity. According to subsequent analyses, fewer than 50% of the sum really made it to the designated charities. A restraining order was also obtained by Heard. She filed images of herself with bruises, accusing Depp of physical assault. In addition to Depp's camp claiming the allegations were unfounded, responding police officers rejected seeing any signs of criminal activity. It didn't stop the harm, though. The claims caused a raging controversy and quickly made headlines. Their battle continued to pique the public's attention. Alleged patterns of maltreatment were recounted by the Heard. Depp fought back in court, denying all of it. Their arguments were characterized by mutual abuse, according to Dr. Laurel Anderson, who was their former therapist. An ostentatiously beautiful Hollywood marriage has devolved into one of the industry's most high-profile, poisonous feuds. Sobriety was an issue for Depp for a long time. He had a history of being accused of unpredictable conduct and frequently arriving late to set before his time with Heard. Particularly following their split, rumors of his frequent drinking and pill use began to circulate. Acknowledged his past struggles with narcotics and benzodiazepines. Studios were worried about his personal problems, which affected his profession, according to friends and co-workers who described him as an unpredictable man. By the end of 2018, Heard had peddled an opinion piece to the Washington Post. Everyone understood who she meant, even though she never said Depp's name. She professed to be a famous survivor of abuse. Hollywood almost immediately turned on Depp, making him a pariah. Despite the franchise's $4.5 billion worldwide earnings and his $300 million, he was sacked from Pirates of the Caribbean by Disney. It was the media, not Disney, that informed Depp of his dismissal. He was also cast out of the Fantastic Beasts films by Warner Brothers, in which he played the villain Grindelwald. Following his 2020 UK libel loss against The Sun, the studio requested his resignation. He was paid his entire 8-figure compensation despite just having completed one scene for the third picture. However, the cost in terms of damage was astronomical. Depp was increasingly marginalized in the Hollywood industry. Defending himself in 2019 was Depp. In a slander lawsuit filed in the U.S., he sought $50 million from Heard, claiming that his career was destroyed by her opinion piece. In response, Heard filed a suit for $100 million. This celebrity trial, which began in April of 2022, quickly rose to the status as one of the most viewed trials of all time. In a matter of seconds, millions of people tuned in via social media. Their poisonous relationship was laid bare, including graphic images and intoxicated altercations. The jury found mainly in favor of Depp on June 1, 2022, following 6 weeks of testimony. It was determined that Heard had been dishonest. They handed down a $10 million compensation judgment and a $5 million punitive judgment to Depp, with the latter amount reduced to $350,000 by state law. One of her accusations also resulted in Heard receiving $2 million. That he had been telling the truth was evident in Depp's celebration of his victory. Unexpected changes occurred in Johnny Depp's life between 2023 and 2024. He shed 100 pounds in a single year. He lost 230 pounds, dropping to 130 now. His followers were all taken aback. However, this was no ordinary fasting regimen. This way of life was completely novel. Depp stopped sloppy eating and started eating healthily. He consumed a diet rich in entire foods, including fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Sugar and junk food were among things he avoided. He collaborated daily with dietitians and cooks. That wasn't all, they also made sure he was strong and full between meals. Depp worked out daily as well. He worked out his muscles, ran, and did yoga. Workouts restored his strength, but it was his approach to mental health care that transformed him. The years of hardship and public battles that Depp had endured were immense. During this time, he discovered therapy and meditation. He stayed grounded by talking to someone and giving himself time. It saved my life, Depp claimed afterwards. In 2024, he had something else unexpected in store for everyone. Depp overhauled his look for the upcoming film Daydrinker. A thick gray beard sprouted on his face as he colored his hair silver. His next accessory were frosty blue contacts. People had to use a double tape since the look was so different. He fooled everyone, including his longtime followers, into thinking they were staring at someone else. The character was portrayed admirably by this silver fox look. It was daring and courageous. This look was created by Depp in collaboration with top stylists. It was all well arranged. Some have compared the shift to a hypnotic or haunting experience. Rumors circulated on set over his dedication to the part. People reacted immediately when the images surfaced online. Comments claiming he looked unrecognizable flooded social media. Entire articles in fashion journals lauded the shift. Some admirers went as far as to consult their own hairdressers about getting silver hair or beards. Depp devoted months to getting into character. His character's voice and characteristics were studied. This profound dedication made a lasting impact on all individuals. Suddenly, his smile appeared. Fans had made fun of Depp's teeth for a long time, but in 2024, he appeared with a stunning new set of pearly whites. The shift was so significant that word spread rapidly. It was first believed by some that the images were staged. According to dentists, the process likely took months and was quite expensive. Though he remained mum about it, Depp's followers could sense the dramatic improvement in his self-assurance. A new grin became a sign of his comeback. It was so ubiquitous that not even entertainment media dared to ignore it. Pictures of him smiling and laughing at events and interviews abound. One could tell that the happiness was genuine. A lot of individuals were moved. Some were so impressed with Depp's results that they went ahead and scheduled their own dental visits. Not only that, but Depp's career was also on the mend. He co-starred with Penelope Cruz in 2024's Daydrinker, directed by the renowned Terry Gilliam. The 2025 release of Gilliam's next major picture, Carnival at the End of Days, prompted rumors that Depp had also been cast as Satan. These positions were significant. Hollywood was once again prepared to accept him, as seen by these events. Those in the know hailed it as one of the decade's most unexpected comebacks. Online entertainment publications and print media were awash in news. The topic of Depp's comeback was the talk of the town. Depp was forthright about what transpired in interviews given in late 2024 and early 2025. He acknowledged in interviews with Rolling Stone and Esquire that many had abandoned ship when times were tough. "I've been surrounded by fake motherfuckers who abandoned me," he told one reporter. He didn't hide his anger or sadness, but he also talked about what that pain had taught him. He said losing those people had made him stronger and helped him focus on the few who truly cared. "That experience made me more determined to rebuild my life," he told an interviewer. Depp's words went viral. People quoted him online. He kept coming back to one idea: resilience. "Resilience is more than a word," he said. "It's a way of life for me now." Fans responded warmly. Many had followed his struggles and felt hopeful for him. Others admired his honesty.